My name is Madeline Carter, 35 years old, born and raised in Seattle, where the rain feels like it runs in my veins. After my mother passed away from a stroke when I had just turned 20, my father became my only pillar, the steadfast support I believed I would never lose. He wasn't just a father, he was a friend, a teacher, a peaceful shelter during my most exhausted days. My father, Mr. Carter, was the man who built Carter & Co., a real estate consulting and development firm he created from nothing. From a small office with just 4 employees on the outskirts of Seattle, he gradually turned the company into one of the most respected private businesses in the region. I grew up watching every blueprint he drew late into the night, every call that lasted until the early hours with partners. To me, he wasn't just a successful businessman. He was a model of determination and integrity. I once thought I had everything: a job I loved, a charming little house overlooking Lake Washington, a husband I trusted, and above all, a father who always supported me. Nathan entered my life at a real estate industry conference in San Francisco. He was one of the keynote speakers, confident, calm, and so captivating I thought he must be fate. We married after 3 years of dating, in a cozy ceremony by the lake where my father walked me down the aisle and gave me away to Nathan with eyes full of pride and emotion. But that very day I saw the cold look in Monica's eyes, Nathan's mother, as she sat in the front row. Her glamorous dress couldn't hide the disdain so clear on her face. I remember her whispering to Nathan as we left the ceremony, "She's nice, but she doesn't have the makings of a company matriarch." I told myself I could change her mind. I tried everything: flowers sent to her home on holidays, evenings when I personally cooked and invited her to join us, kind and thoughtful greetings. But ice remains ice. Monica's coldness only grew thicker with time. As time passed, my father began to age, his health no longer what it once was. I knew he hid his persistent cough, his sleepless nights, and the exhaustion after long meetings. I prayed every day, hoping he could stay with me a little longer. But no one bargains with time. One freezing winter morning, I got a call from the hospital. The doctor's voice trembled as he delivered the news. My father had passed in his sleep. He left peacefully, but he left a void in me that nothing could fill. I collapsed onto the floor, my hands shaking, my heart shattered into pieces. I couldn't cry anymore. The tears had dried up during all those nights of worry at his bedside. I only felt numb, as if part of my soul had been torn away. In that moment, I still naively thought the hardest part would be learning how to live without my father. I didn't yet know that the real pain would come from the person I had chosen to share my life with. And that was how the story began. My father's funeral took place on a drizzly morning in Seattle, the gray sky as heavy as my unspeakable sorrow. Friends, former colleagues, and those who had worked with him over the years came to pay their respects, all bowing their heads in silence for a man they admired. More than 30 minutes into the ceremony, Monica appeared. She hurried in, wrapped in an expensive fur coat, her face hidden behind large sunglasses even though the sun wasn't out. She offered no condolences, no embrace, no shared look of grief, just a brief nod to a few familiar faces before quietly taking a seat at the very back. I watched her, my heart heavy. I had hoped just once she might set aside her prejudice and grieve this loss with my family. But no. All I saw in her was a cold, ruthless distance. And before the ceremony ended, Monica got up, adjusted her handbag, and left quickly, as if this place had no meaning to her at all. After the funeral, I returned to the empty house where my father's laughter once echoed. I sat for hours by the window, watching the endless rain. Memories of him flooded back. The nights we stayed up late sharing pizza while discussing his new projects. The times he patiently listened as I spoke of my small work worries. And those warm hugs I would never feel again. 2 days after the funeral, I received a call from Mr. Peterson, my father's longtime lawyer. His voice was calm but serious. "Madeline, I need to see you. There are matters regarding your father's estate that need to be settled soon." I agreed immediately. In my mind, I simply thought perhaps a few savings, accounts, some real estate, or the remaining shares he held in Carter & Co. I didn't expect that meeting to reveal everything. At his office, Mr. Peterson handed me a file, his eyes both firm and sympathetic. Your father prepared everything carefully, all of it, the company, the properties, the investment accounts, the post-tax cash. It's all yours? The total current value is about $32 million. I froze. $32 million. A number far beyond anything I had imagined. My hands trembled slightly as I took the file. I felt no joy, no sense of fortune. All I felt was an immense emptiness, because I knew the price of this wealth was a loss I could never recover. That evening I sat alone in the living room, estate papers spread across the table. The rain still tapped on the porch. When Nathan walked in, he paused, eyeing the files, then smirked slightly. "So it's true, it's all yours." I was still overwhelmed by the storm of emotions. Nathan lowered himself into the chair beside me, his gaze somehow different. Something about it sent a chill down my spine. "I think we should talk about this. We should invest, or maybe buy that house you like near Lake Tahoe. And of course, we have to take care of my mother, too." I turned to him, surprised. "Take care of your mother? What do you mean?" He gave a thin smile, his voice soft as if coaxing me. "You know, she only has me. She's endured so much. Now it's time to give back. You'll split it with her, right?" I burst out laughing, not from joy but from shock. "Nathan, this is my father's estate. Why should I give half of it to your mother?" Nathan's eyes darkened for a moment. He tilted his head, his voice like he was lecturing a child. "Because she's family. She's your family too, Madeline. Don't be selfish." My heart tightened. Every word he said felt like a knife to my chest. "The family? Your mother never respected my father. She even left the funeral before it ended. She hasn't asked about me once since he passed." Nathan leaned back in his chair, crossed his arms, his tone turning firm. "You think you're the only one grieving? I'm hurting too. But I'm not turning into someone who clings to money." I didn't respond. From that moment, a chasm opened between us that could never be filled. That conversation with Nathan left a heavy emptiness inside me. I thought that after a night's sleep he would reflect, realize that what I needed was a shoulder to lean on, not arguments over money. But the next morning, as I sat quietly by the window, watching the weak sunlight filter through the trees outside, my phone rang. A name flashed on the screen that made my heart sink. Monica. I answered, and her voice came through sweet to the point of being fake. "Dear Madeline, I heard from Nathan about your inheritance. First of all, I want to say how proud I am. Your father achieved wonderful things. I'm truly happy for you." I bit my lip, waiting for what I knew was coming. "I know this has been a tiring, painful time for you, but I also think it's time to talk about the future. I have some great investment ideas. A luxury senior living project, a restaurant chain I've been dreaming about for years. I think with the money you have, these would be smart moves." I let my eyes fall shut, drawing in a slow, steady breath to calm the storm inside me. "Monica, my father's been gone less than 2 weeks. I don't want to talk about money right now." She chuckled softly, her tone still syrupy. "Oh, your father would want you to think of the family. That's what a good daughter should do. Don't let emotions cloud your judgment, dear." My voice dropped, every word holding back my frustration. "Thank you for your concern, but I'll make my own decisions. This is my father's estate. I hope you'll respect that." There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then she spoke coldly. "You always think you're better than everyone else. Don't wait until you have no one left to see how wrong you are." She hung up before I could reply. That evening when Nathan came home, I knew he'd heard about it. He walked in with a tense face, didn't even ask how I was, just shot me a heavy look. "What did you say to my mother? She's just trying to help you, to help us. And you shut her down like that?" I looked at him, my voice no longer soft. "Help? She called asking for investment money, Nathan. That's not help, that's ambition." He slammed his hand on the table. "That's enough. You're so selfish. You care more about money than your family, than your husband." His words felt like a slap. I no longer recognized the man I once loved. In the days that followed, everything felt suffocating. Monica started coming to the house unannounced. One morning she showed up with a thick file of investment projects she wanted me to fund. Another time she brought an interior designer, saying the house should be renovated to match my new status. I tried to stay patient to avoid confrontation, but everything crossed the line one afternoon when I came home earlier than usual, opened my office door, and saw a sight that made my blood boil. Monica was standing at my desk flipping through my files. Her eyes darted across the titles, her lips pressed together with calculation. I stepped in, my voice icy. "What are you doing in my office?" She looked up, completely unfazed, and gave a faint smile. "Oh, Madeline, I was just looking for a notebook. I saw you had it here the other day." I pointed to the door. "If you need anything, please ask. This is my home, this is my private office. I expect you to respect that." She gathered the files, walked out briskly, but before leaving she stopped and gave me a sharp glance. "You're clever. But remember, no one stands alone forever." The door slammed shut behind her, leaving me standing there, fists clenched, my whole body trembling with anger. That same night, when Nathan came home and heard his mother's version of the story, he raised his voice. "You're turning into a stranger, Madeline. She's just thinking of your future, of our family. You're pushing her away, pushing me away too." I looked him straight in the eye, my words firm. "No one can force me to share what my father left me. If you don't understand that, I have nothing more to say." That night, after Monica left, I sat alone in my office, the desk lamp casting light on the files my father had left behind. My heart pounded, not from fear, but from a growing determination. I had to protect myself, protect what my father entrusted to me. I started with the smallest things. Every email password, bank account, asset management software, I changed them all. No more familiar numbers Nathan might know, but new, long, complex passwords that even I had to write down and keep hidden. Then I contacted a private security company. In less than 2 days, the new camera system was installed. Every entrance to the house, the office, the garage, and the backyard was under surveillance. The technician gave me a concerned look when I asked him to check the blind spots 3 times. I simply replied, "I need certainty, not false peace of mind." At the same time, I reached out to Mr. Peterson and asked him to recommend an independent financial expert, someone with no ties to Nathan or his family. That's how I met Eliza Moore, a woman in her 50s with a determined face and sharp eyes behind thin glasses. At our first meeting, I shared everything about the estate, the tension within the family, the worries that weighed heavily on me. She listened without interrupting, then said in a low voice, "Madeline, you've been very clear-headed, but there's one important step. Move the assets into a trust so that no one can access them unless you allow it." I nodded without hesitation. I knew that if I delayed, I would give Nathan and Monica the opportunity they craved. Setting up the trust happened quietly. With every meeting with the legal team, I felt stronger. They guided me as I gradually transferred each part of the estate. My father's company shares, the real estate, the investment accounts. Everything was placed under the protection of the trust, with clear terms. No one but me had authority over it. Meanwhile, I began preparing documents, evidence, everything I might need to protect myself if bigger storms came. I backed up all emails and messages related to Monica's proposals. I kept a journal of every visit she made, every word that raised my guard. One night, reviewing the camera footage, I saw something that sent a chill down my spine. Monica, dressed in workout clothes, quietly opened my office door. She walked straight to the desk, rifling through the files. Her eyes skimmed each line, each number. Then she froze at an envelope I had marked as bait. She picked it up, opened it, and when she saw it contained nothing but a blank sheet of paper, she smirked, closed it, and put it back in place before leaving. I saved that video in 3 places: my personal computer, an external hard drive, and an encrypted cloud account. I knew this evidence would be needed one day. Nathan began to notice the changes in me. He no longer had easy access to documents, couldn't sneak a look at bank accounts or financial plans as before. One evening he came into the room, his face showing clear irritation. "What are you hiding from me? Why all this tension? We're married, Madeline." I looked up, my voice calm. "I'm not hiding anything. I'm protecting my father's legacy. I hope you understand." But in Nathan's eyes I saw the suspicion growing. After that I took one more step Eliza suggested. I asked the lawyer to draft asset protection documents covering any legal risks, including the possibility of divorce. I didn't want that. But I no longer believed that love could stop people from changing under the lure of money. That quiet house, once a home, now felt like a silent battleground. I knew bigger storms were coming, but this time I was ready. After those suffocatingly tense days, I began to see a clear change in Nathan. The man who had been harsh and distant suddenly became gentle, oddly attentive. One evening, he brought home a bouquet of white roses, the kind I loved but he had long forgotten. He placed them on the dining table, looking at me with soft eyes. "I'm sorry, Madeline, we've been so tense lately. I just want things to be good again." The next day, he personally cooked dinner. When he set the plate of pasta in front of me, he smiled warmly, the smile that once melted my heart when we first fell in love. I miss when life was simple. "How about we take a few days off? Go somewhere, just the two of us?" I looked at him, bitterness rising inside. I could see the falsehood behind that gaze. That wasn't my Nathan. That was a man trying to cling to what he thought was slipping from his grasp. I shook my head gently. "Thank you, but now isn't the time." Nathan tried to hide the flicker of disappointment in his eyes, but I saw it all. A few days later, I came home early and nearly froze at the sight in the living room. Monica, in a wrinkled silk dress, barefoot, was sitting comfortably on the sofa, holding the cup of tea I'd made that morning and hadn't yet cleared. The door hadn't been locked. I had only just come in minutes earlier. She looked up at me, her face wearing a smile I could never trust. "You're home? I just stopped by to see how you're doing." For a brief moment I held my ground, breathing through the tension before I answered. "Please call next time before you come over. This is my private home." She waved it off. "Oh, don't be so tense, we're family. I'm just worried about you." But her eyes flicked toward the desk in the corner, where I had left my laptop and a freshly printed file. I knew she wasn't there out of concern. The next day, reviewing the security camera footage, I saw images that stirred my anger. In the middle of the day while I was out, Monica had snuck in, gone straight to the office and searched through the desk drawers. She opened the file cabinet, rifled through it, then rearranged everything to look untouched. I saved that video in 3 places as before: an external hard drive, an encrypted cloud account, and a small USB hidden in the safe. Nathan kept up his act. He started buying small gifts: a silk scarf, a book I had once mentioned in passing, sweet words that made me fight back tears of bitterness. One night, as I worked in my office, he knocked, holding 2 cups of hot cocoa. I missed the nights we'd sit on the porch just talking about nothing. "Give me a chance, will you?" When our eyes met, the tension beneath his smile and the flicker of fear in his gaze became clear. He was afraid of losing what he and his mother had always targeted, not me, but my father's legacy. I took the cup of cocoa and softly said, "Nathan, I hope you understand I haven't changed, but I no longer believe in what you're trying to show." For the first time in days, he couldn't maintain the gentle act. His lips pressed into a tight line, his eyes darkened. He set the cocoa down hard on the table and left without saying a word. The next morning, I discovered my laptop had been moved. The lid was slightly open, not where I had left it. I checked the login history: 2 failed password attempts during the night. I sat silently, then exhaled deeply. This had gone too far. There was no turning back now. I knew I couldn't keep living in this suffocating spiral. It was time to end the performance Nathan and Monica had staged, and to do that, I needed everything prepared perfectly, leaving them no chance to turn the tables. Each night, after the house fell silent, I sat at my desk, slowly reviewing all I had gathered: security camera footage showing Monica rifling through my office, recordings of her snide remarks and relentless efforts to convince me to hand over the estate, emails and messages from Nathan, sometimes gentle, sometimes threatening. I sorted everything, backed it up, and stored it in 3 safe places. I also contacted Eliza Moore and the legal team. In a small meeting room at the law office, I laid out all the evidence before them. Eliza nodded, her voice firm. "Madeline, you've done exactly what you needed to do. Now is the time to file for divorce. Don't delay any longer." In just 3 days, all the necessary paperwork was drafted. The file was thick, each page a clear record of what I had endured and how carefully I had prepared. I chose to face Nathan at a small coffee shop downtown Seattle where we had once met in our early days. Not out of nostalgia, but because I wanted a public space. A place busy enough that he couldn't explode, quiet enough for me to say what needed saying. I arrived 10 minutes early, sitting in a corner by the window, looking out at the street. Seattle's sky was still gray, light rain falling like my own mood. calm but cold. Nathan walked in right on time, his coat speckled with rain. He gave a strained smile when he saw me and sat across from me. "I'm glad you agreed to meet. I think we should talk, find a way to fix this." I didn't answer right away. I opened my bag, took out a leather folder, and set it on the table. Inside were the divorce papers. Beside it, I placed a small silver USB. Nathan froze, then frowned. What's this?" I looked straight into his eyes, my voice low and clear. "The divorce papers. And the evidence of everything you and your mother have done." A flicker of confusion crossed his face before he forced a smile. "Madeline, are you joking? You'd destroy our family over a misunderstanding?" I shook my head, my voice unusually steady. "This isn't about a misunderstanding. It's about betrayal. You no longer see me as a wife. To you, I'm just the wallet my father left behind." Nathan reached out to grab the file, but I gently pulled it back toward me. "You should give this USB to your lawyer. It contains videos, recordings, documents, enough for the court to see what's really happening." His face went pale. He knew I wasn't bluffing. He glanced around the cafe, trying to regain composure. "So you had this all planned? You set this up to ruin me and my mother?" I gripped my coffee cup lightly, my eyes steady on him. "No one set out to ruin you. I'm simply responding to what you both have done." He remained silent, with nothing left to offer. Rising from my seat, I set the file and USB neatly in front of him. "I hope you'll choose a respectful end. If not, I'm ready for court." I walked out of the cafe that day, Seattle's rain falling harder, drenching my hair and shoulders. But I had never felt so free. Behind the glass, Nathan remained frozen, clutching the divorce papers and the USB as if they could salvage something already lost. I didn't look back. Each step through the rain washed away the heavy days, the sleepless nights, the heartbreak of watching the man I loved reveal his true face. In the days that followed, I lived in a new rhythm. I rented a small apartment in Greenwood, not far from downtown but quiet enough to let my heart settle. The apartment was just over 700 square feet, but to me, it felt like a world of freedom. From the balcony I could see the maples turning red for the season, their fiery leaves signaling the start of a new life. The divorce was finalized faster than I expected, perhaps because the evidence I provided was so clear, so complete, that Nathan and Monica had no room to argue or delay. His lawyer only reached out 3 times, each to negotiate minor points I was willing to consider, as long as one thing remained unchanged. My father's estate was off limits. At the final hearing, Nathan looked at me with a mix of regret and resentment. He tried to say something as I passed, but I just shook my head. I didn't need to hear any more. Monica didn't appear. She sent a legal representative, a stranger with a face as cold as ice. Maybe deep down she knew all her schemes had failed. When the hearing ended, I walked out, head held high among the crowd. The rare sunlight after the morning rain lit the courthouse steps. I felt as light as air, not because I'd defeated anyone, but because I was no longer trapped in a hollow marriage. In the days that followed, I focused on what truly made me happy, running Carter & Co., carrying on the values my father had built, and spending time on myself. I took up drawing again, the early strokes shaky, but soon I found joy in the simple things I had long forgotten. Each morning, I jogged along Green Lake, breathing the fresh air, letting my heart beat with the rhythm of freedom. No more waking in the night to arguments. No more glancing over my shoulder in fear of prying eyes or sneaky footsteps in my own home. One afternoon, while I lingered on the balcony watching the sunset, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I answered, and a warm male voice came through. "Miss Carter, I represent a charitable foundation. We've learned about the legacy your father left behind, and we hope for the opportunity to collaborate on creating a scholarship program in his name." I paused for a moment, then smiled. "Thank you. I would be honored to do that." I understood that the way to repay life, to honor my father's legacy, wasn't to cling to wealth, but to turn it into something meaningful. As night fell, I lingered by the window of my small apartment, watching the city lights come on. A chapter had truly closed. My story isn't just about escaping a hollow marriage. It's about finding myself again. From being cornered by greed and betrayal, I learned how to stand tall, protect my father's legacy, and defend my own honor. Now I live a life of freedom, peace, and appreciation for what truly matters. I know strength doesn't come from what we hold on to, but from the courage to let go of what's no longer worthy. What do you think about Madeline's journey and the choices she made? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to follow the channel for more touching, meaningful stories about life and family.